Hello there guys. In this video I'm going to be building this 1/24th scale model kit of the Williams FW12 F1 car. Although to be honest it is a bit of a stretch to call this a model kit. It is a bit more of a toy. It's designed to hold a battery and to be motorised. But I saw it on a stall at Silverstone earlier this year, and the FW12 isn't really a common subject. In fact, the only other option as far as I'm aware is the Studio 27 kit, which itself is quite rare and would cost well over €150. So I'm happy with this for now. The FW12 was Williams' entry into the 1988 F1 season, and to be honest it was not a successful car. After some very successful recent seasons, Williams had fallen out with Honda and lost the use of the Honda engine, which forced them to use the normally aspirated Judd V8 engine. Williams did have the active suspension, which they hoped would help them compete against slightly more powerful cars, but it wasn't actually until they removed that system from the car that it became halfway competitive. So of course my main concern with an old kit like this, and I suspect it was probably released in 1988, 1989, is the decals. I did look at them before I bought the kit, and I thought there might be an outside chance that they would still work. And to be honest, I was probably a bit cocky, and I thought if I scanned them before I used them, if they did break apart I could print my own. As you can see from the contents of the kit, it is very simple. The entire car really is a single piece. Front wing, rear suspension arms are all together. We have this interesting sort of blanking plate for the driver there that doesn't let you see inside the cockpit, because of course that's where the battery will be, below that. And then we have this floor with loads of holes in it, designed for switches and connectors and so on for the motor. And then just a few pieces for the side panels and a suspension arm or two. Although we do get this bag with a couple of metal components in it, we don't actually get the motor with the kit, and I think reading the instructions I think that is supposed to be an optional extra. The first step of the instructions is all about connecting that motor and the battery components, so I didn't need to do those. And in step 2 we use the supplied metal rear axle, which of course will be used to drive the wheels. 3 and 4 we're adding a bit to the floor and the suspension setup. Five and 6 we're adding the driver and the rear wing, and of course the battery. And then that's it, job is done. So I'm not expecting the world's most accurate FW12 model here, but I am going to give it a go and make it look at least a little bit like a race car. I decided fairly early on not to bother filling all of those holes on the floor. Realistically, you're not going to see the underside of the floor anyway. I must say though, the front suspension here, although not really accurate to the real car, is one of the easiest assemblies I've had in an F1 car, in terms of clipping things together. And here we can see how that driver will look there. Not quite sure why the driver's moulded in black plastic when it needs painting red. And that's how it will appear in the car. The car was driven primarily by Nigel Mansell and Riccardo Patrese, though Martin Brundle and Jean-Louis Schlesser did replace Mansell for 2 Grand Prix where he had chickenpox. Martin Brundle of course is a very well known F1 driver and now commentator. Jean-Louis Schlesser is perhaps most well known, infamously so, for taking out race leader Ayrton Senna at the 1988 Italian Grand Prix, making that the only Grand Prix that year that McLaren Honda didn't win. The FW12 was not a reliable car. Of the 14 races that Mansell entered, he only finished twice, although he scored second place on both occasions. Riccardo Patrese fared slightly better, finishing 50% of the 16 races that he entered, and scoring points on 5 of those occasions. The FW12 was also used for the 1989 season, where it was dubbed the FW12C and had the Judd engine replaced with a Renault engine. Overall, the performance of the FW12 was bad enough that it convinced Mansell to leave the Williams team at the end of 1988 and go to Ferrari. So you can see there that after some fairly basic construction, my main job was to get some primer down on the parts. In this case, white primer for the upper piece and grey primer for the lower. Now the kit decals give us the blue as a solid piece of decal, but they don't give us anything for the yellow, so that needs to be painted separately. To try to get that curve correct, I traced over the blue decal with some Tamiya masking sheet and used that as a guide for my yellow. And this is just standard Tamiya X3 lemon yellow. Maybe it's not quite correct for the ICI yellow, but it will do, it's good enough. We can see slightly down the side of that driver piece, so I painted the inside of the cockpit black. And then one of the disadvantages, of course, of having a single piece car is that you need to do lots of masking. So we have black obviously on the suspension arms at the rear, on the side of the car and on the front wing, which surprisingly came out quite well. I tried this Canon decal first because I have a couple of spare Canon decals if these get destroyed. And apart from needing an incredible amount of time in the water, like literally 3 or 4 minutes, they seem to go down okay. I seem to remember when I was a kid I thought that Barclay on the rear wing here referred to the bank, not the tobacco manufacturer. Which of course also gives you a good indication of the age of the kit, that it's actually got tobacco decals in it. And then it was time for the big scary one, the massive blue decal. Some of these decals had quite a lot of excess carrier film around them, so I did try to trim them quite close in some cases. On the downside, the instructions for the decals do contain a number of mistakes, so do make sure you use reference images. On the plus side, we do get different decals for different race versions, although again they're not mentioned in the instructions. But for example, the airbox and the front wing end plate had different logos depending on the race, and we get several options here to choose those. We even get decals for the seatbelt logos, although stupidly I've somehow lost mine. I did have a small tear there on the nose, but overall that decal did go down surprisingly well. I used a small amount of Tamiya Mark Fit to get it to conform, but then I stopped touching the decal because it did start to tear in other places too. And although I thought I filmed it, I didn't, but I have put down the side decal there as well. And again, once that's dried, it really conforms super well to the panel lines in the car. So I was really pleased with that, and really that was the main thing that worried me, especially because it's got the red pinstripe on it. The only time I didn't use the kit decals was for this Goodyear decal here. These have yellowed a little bit, and Goodyear decals are easy to find. I've got a load of spare ones anyway, so I used those instead. Incidentally, the Barclay ones there have not yellowed. That's supposed to be a slightly cream colour for them. This is how the driver will look when he's inside. And of course I've gone for good old red 5, which is Nigel Mansell. And funnily enough, although we do get number 6 in the decal sheet, we only get helmet decals for Mansell. And of course you can't not really have the driver in this kit, so that's a bit strange. To Talking of helmet decals, I think there's something definitely a bit wrong with these in the kit. If we look at Mansell's helmet there, that red stripe goes diagonally up the side of his helmet, across the top in a curve, and then sort of loops around above his forehead. These two blue and red side decals here look far too small to me. They simply don't meet. The blue doesn't meet in the middle, the red stripe doesn't meet in the middle either, which is really odd. It just seems massively under scale. But then weirdly we get decals for all the other logos on the helmet, so they've done a good job there. In the end I mixed up a Vallejo dark blue and took advantage of the fact that we can't really see the back of the helmet anyway, and just sort of painted in that middle section. The red stripe's not quite in the right place. I think some of the other logos are a bit big, but it does a good approximation, I think, of Mansell's helmet. These Barclay decals which go around the front suspension were a bit difficult, particularly here because there's a hole for the front wing, but of course the front wing is a single piece, so you can't exactly attach it later. But I solved that just by cutting the decals up into pieces. And I had to trim a few of them for size as well. The tyre rubber is quite a hard surface for decals to adhere to, and I thought these Goodyear ones would give me some hassle, but they actually went down really well. Once everything was dry and I was happy with it, and before I put the wheels in place, I gave everything a coat of VMS gloss varnish, and then my toy FW12 was complete. And there we go guys, that was my Williams FW12 Judd from the 1988 F1 season. I hope you enjoyed the video. This turned out a lot better than I thought it would at the beginning, and I think really it doesn't look too toy-like at the moment, unless you turn it over of course and see all those slots and switches and stuff on the underside. But overall it was some good fun building this. I really enjoyed the painting and the decaling process, mainly because the decals actually worked, and I think although the FW12 isn't the most beautiful F1 car ever made, this is a decent representation of it. I know F1 builds are not to everyone's taste, but if you've watched this channel for a while, you'll know that I like to do aircraft, military, Star Wars, F1, and basically more or less anything. So hopefully you found something useful in this video. I've got a few more projects in the pipeline. You've perhaps seen some of the part 1s that I've uploaded recently. Which one I will finish next I'm not quite sure, but of course we have Telford coming up next week, and I do have a little bit of a shopping list for that. Nothing major, just a few bits and pieces here and there to try out. I'm looking for sort of unusual subjects and unusual manufacturers rather than another Lancaster or another Sherman or anything like that, but who knows what it will turn up. I'd like to say thank you to all of you for watching, and special thanks of course to my Patreon supporters and YouTube members for their ongoing support of the channel. You can find links to join Patreon and follow me on Instagram in the description below. And until next time, thanks again for watching and have fun modelling.